Okay, so now we're solving this equation, and since it is quadratic, right, you have an x squared, what you have to do is set it equal to 0. So I'm going to minus 15 on both sides, and I get 3x squared plus 4x minus 15 equals 0. Okay, and then so now I'm going to factor, right? And to factor this, remember, you're going to go a times c, so that would be, I want numbers that multiply to be negative 45, and I want them to add up to 4, right, the b. And so I'll go ahead on my calculator, and I'll do y equals negative 45 divided by x to get the factors of negative 45, and I want them to add up, so I'm going to do x plus, alpha trace enter, and I want them to add up to be, so I'm going to do second math, enter to get the equals, I want them to add up to be 4. I'm going to look at my thing over here, everything, oh, I've got a negative. So there we go. Positive, the 1 is my flag, so 9 and negative 5. Right? 9 and negative 5 multiply to be negative 45, and they add up to a positive 4. All right, so now I'm going to do my box. All right, so first term here, 3x squared. Last term here, negative 15. And then I've got a 9x and a minus 5. Okay, so now I'm just going to do the greatest common factor, right? So I've got a 3x for this row, and that when and then in this row I've got a negative 5, right? So 3x minus 5 is one of my factors. And to get the other factor, I'm going to do the column here. So all we have, oh, that's supposed to be an x, right? 9x and 5x. Because I want to have 4x, right? 9x and 5x. So now in this column, I've got an x for both of them, and here I've got a factor of 3. And since this is positive, right, this is positive. This is negative, so that's negative. So x plus 3 is my other factor, all right? This says solve, so I want the zeros, right? I want the x values that are going to make that equal to 0. So I can look here, if x equals negative 3, that makes that 0. And for this one, x equals, I would add 5 to both sides and then divide by 3. So x equals 5/3 would be the other solution there. Okay. And then for 18, I'm factoring that as well. I'm going to do it the same way. I've got, I don't have the y's. I'm still going to do 2 times 1, right? And so I want numbers that are going to multiply to be 2, and they're going to add up to 3. Okay, well, that has to be 1 and 2, right? So now I can do my box here. First term is 2x squared. Last term is y squared. Right? And so in the middle here, right, these are my middle terms. Right? I'm going to have 1, and I'm going to have an xy, right? The middle terms are xy's, and then I would have a 2xy. Okay. And then I would go ahead and GCF each row, right? This row has, they both have an x. This row, they both have a y. Right, so x plus y is one factor. And then the other factor is going to be looking at the columns. They both have a 2, and they both have an x here. And then these, they both have a y. So plus y, right? Because this is positive, so this is positive. This is positive, so that's positive. So 2x plus y is my other factor. And then now, so I'm done because it just says factor, right? I do not have to solve anything. And this is factor. So I'm just going to factor these. So same thing, 2 times negative 15 is negative 30. They're going to add up to negative 7. Okay, so I'll do y equals, and I'm going to do negative 30. I've got everything in there already, which is nice. And then, so I'm not going to delete it. I'm just going to, and I want them to add up to negative 7. And then when I go to look at the table, I'm looking for a 1. There it is. So 3 and negative 10. Okay, so 3 and negative 10. Multiply to be negative 30 and add it to negative 7. So I'll go ahead and do my box. Ready? And the first term is 2x squared. Last term is negative 15y squared. And then I've got a 3xy and a negative 10xy for my middle terms. All right? And then now I'm just going to factor out my common factors. So I've got a x here and a y here. Oh, and then I have a 5, right? If I do math num 9, 10, comma 15, right? I'll do math over to num and then 9. Oops, let me get out of here. So I'm going to do math over to num 9, and then I'll put in 10, comma 15. All right, and so the GCD there is 5. All right, so I have a 5, and since this is a minus, that will be minus 5y. So that's my one factor, x minus 5y. And to get the other factor, I'm going to do the columns. All right, so that would be here. I've got 2x, right? They both have an x, they both have a 2. And then here I have a 3, and it's positive, because that's positive. Oh, and they both have a y, right? They both have a y. So 2x plus 3y is my other factor. All right, those are my 2 factors. And then now these last ones, I can just go into the imaginary mode and type them in. Okay, so we'll stop this here.